Hi everyone, I'm Sal, co-creator of Salt and Pepper Productions, and today I'm going to discuss what I believe were the most surprising Danganronpa murderer reveals. On New Year's Eve, I uploaded a video on the most surprising murder victims, so now I'm doing a video on the most surprising murderers. This video's format will be very similar to the other video. I'm going to go through each game and the anime, and I'm going to select one killer from each installment. And then I'll end the video with a list of honorable mentions. Once again, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls, will not be included because even though there were deaths in that story, none of them were murders, ergo, no murderers to discuss. This video was a little difficult to write because I had a hard time selecting just one killer from each installment. I considered discussing multiple killers per section before deciding to stick to my original format. That being said, I think my final decisions for this video are subject to change. Just something to keep in mind. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Mondo Owada. During the Chihiro Fujisaki case, there were two primary suspects, Toku Fukawa, aka Genocider Sho, and Byakuya Togami. During the investigation and the class trial, it became apparent that Genocider Sho couldn't be the killer. There were just too many inconsistencies between Genocider's MO and Chihiro's death. Since Byakuya knew more about Genocider Sho than anyone else, Makoto Naegi began to suspect him. The game even lets you select him, giving the player, or the viewer, the impression that he is the killer, that he must be the killer. That was certainly my mindset when I first watched Trigger Happy Havoc 5 years ago. I was so focused on Byakuya, partially because of the evidence, partially because I didn't want Toko to die, and partially because I didn't really like Byakuya at the time and wanted him to die. As for Mondo, he wasn't even on my radar. He didn't really stand out during the investigation nor the class trial, and there was nothing that linked him to the scene of the crime. Heck, he probably would have gotten away with it if it weren't for his slip of the tongue and that one piece of physical evidence, which wasn't even presented until the very end of the trial. Needless to say, this was a reveal I was not expecting. Mikon Samiki. Mikon is a very nervous and fragile person. We know she's been bullied and abused her entire life, and she gets upset very easily. Her feeble personality made me think she could end up being a victim, but not a killer. Akane Owari even makes a remark about this. I remember Nico B was suspicious of Mikon during the third case. He suspected that she was the one who killed Ibuki Miyota and Hiyoko Saionji, and I really wanted him to be wrong. I liked Mikon, and I hated the idea of her becoming a killer. So all the reveals presented during the third class trial were both very surprising and very upsetting for me. Ruruka Ando. Now, the end of Hope's Peak Academy took a different murder mystery storytelling approach. In the games, multiple class trials were held to identify multiple killers. In the anime, the characters were looking for one mass murderer, the attacker. At the end of the anime, we discover that the attacker didn't exist. We learn that each victim committed suicide after being brainwashed by one of Ryota Midorai's videos. So the only proper murders were Mie Gekakahara's death, Kazuo Tengen's death, Sonosuke Izuo's death, Koichi Kizakura's death, and Juzo Sakakura's death. I guess you could argue Daisaku Bandai was murdered, but to be fair, Juzo wasn't trying to kill him. It's not like he knew what his forbidden action was at the time. Anyway, in my Surprise and Victims video, I noted that Sonosuke and Ruruka had a very close connection. So at the time, I couldn't imagine Ruruka killing him. when Kyoko Kirigiri and the others discovered Sanosuke's body, I didn't suspect Veruca. I did see others discuss their suspicions online, though. The reveal that Veruca was the one who killed Sanosuke was the only killer reveal in the show. We saw Kyosuke Munakata kill Kazuo and stab Juzo, so the circumstances behind those deaths were never a mystery. The show revealed that Monica Toa had taken Miya's place before revealing that the real Miya was dead, so the circumstances behind Miya's death were never a mystery. The same can be said about Daisaku's death. So Veruca was the most surprising killer, kind of by default. Okay, so I actually wasn't surprised by most of Kill and Harmony's killers. I knew Kurumi Tojo and Korekio Shinguji were going to be killers because YouTube decided to recommend Kill and Harmony videos with spoilery thumbnails, i.e., Kurumi in the middle of her execution, and Korekio in the middle of his execution. I decided to re-watch certain scenes from the 4th chapter before Nico B uploaded his class trial videos. While re-watching certain scenes, I noticed how Gonta Gokuhara kept saying he didn't know nor understand what was going on shortly after everyone left the virtual world. I also remembered what Miyu Iruma said about the chords, so Gonta's "I don't understand" comments stuck with me. I realized that he plugged the cords into the wrong ports, that he probably couldn't remember what happened inside the virtual world. I knew that was probably going to be important later on, so I had a feeling he could end up being Miyu's killer. And he did. The way Kill and Harmony handled the 5th investigation and class trial, the way the characters acted, I just thought it was so obvious that Kokichi Oma was the actual victim and Kaido Momoda was the actual killer. I spoiled the fact that Tsumugi Shirogane was the villain for myself, but I didn't discover that she was Rantaro Amami's true killer until the end of the game. Even so, I wasn't that surprised by the reveal. Long before reaching the end of the game, I came across a piece of fan art. The fan art showed Kairi Akamatsu and Suichi Saihara looking at a photograph. In the photograph, you see Tsumugi standing behind Rantaro, about to bash him in the head with a shot ball. At the time, I thought the fan art was just silly wishful thinking that had nothing to do with the actual story. When I got to the part where Suichi and the others discovered evidence that suggested Kairi had been framed, I went, oh, so that's what that fan art was. So yeah, none of Kill and Harmony's killers blew my mind. That being said, if I had to pick which one was the most surprising, I'd probably say either Gonta or Tsumugi. Gonta because he's not the type of character you would expect to commit murder, and Tsumugi because that evidence Suichi and the others found did take me by surprise. Sakura Ogami, Junko Enoshima, Peko Pekoyama, Gundam Tanaka, and Chiaki Nanami. As I said in my victims video, Sakura's death wasn't that surprising given everything that had happened prior to her death. The real surprise was the fact that she had died by her own hand, the fact that she was her own killer. At the start of Trigger Happy Havoc, we're introduced to a character named Junko Enoshima. She's killed by Monokuma shortly after the first murder takes place, and after that, the game doesn't really bring her up again. Prior to her death, she didn't really do anything that made her stand out, so her character felt unimportant, just a throwaway character we know nothing about, kind of like Daisaku Bandai from the end of Hope's Peak Academy. At the end of the game, we discover that the girl who died was actually someone named Mikuro Ikusaba. The real Junko was alive and well. The real Junko wasn't a victim at all. She was Mikuro's killer. This was a very fun twist, and just for the record, I think Junko is an extremely overhated character. I love how crafty and intelligent she is, and she's just a fun and interesting character to talk and speculate about. I definitely want to make a video about her at some point in the future, so stay tuned for that. I was very surprised when the students discovered that Pekka was the one who killed Mihiru Koizumi. I probably did find that reveal more surprising than the Mikon reveal, and I was very close to including Pekka in the most surprising Goodbye Despair killer section. I decided not to for two reasons. One, I can't really explain why Pekka being a killer surprised me so much. I just remember really liking her when I first watched the game, and I couldn't imagine her being a killer at the time. Two, in retrospect, it may have been a little, I hesitate to say obvious because I think that's too strong a word, but when I re-watched the second class trial, I noticed that Pekka was the one who really pushed the Hyoku Saionji theory. She was really trying to pin the crime on her, so I wouldn't be surprised if other people were suspicious of Pekka when they first played or watched the game. I don't recall feeling suspicious of Gundam during the fourth investigation and class trial. Him being Nekomaru Nidai's killer didn't blow my mind or anything, but I thought it was worth mentioning here. Chiaki is basically a saint. She's not someone you would expect to commit murder. The most surprising thing about the Nagito Kamida case was the fact that the victim had orchestrated his own death. Nagito got Chiaki to kill him without realizing it, which was quite a surprise. Thank you for watching the video. So, which Danganronpa killers did you think were the most surprising? Do you agree with anything I had to say? Do you disagree with anything I had to say? Let us know in the comments below. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe. Check out our other videos if you haven't already. Be sure to share this video, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye!